Well, hello there, vinyl community. It's Jacob coming to you from the Dallas Open Micer YouTube channel. The very special video that you're going to want to watch all the way through to the end. What I have for you here is a collection of some BVCLT records that arrived in the mail. For those of you that don't know what BVCLT is, that's a British vinyl community love train. And so what I have here are some essential British listening records sent over here by Martin the Vinyl Scavenger. And since this episode, or this, not episode, it's not a series, since this video is going to be very British, I've got an Earl Grey tea. Now, this video could be very long, so I put my Earl Grey tea in a Bucky's thermos so that it'll still be satisfyingly hot by the time I reach the end of this video. That is nice. All right, so let's see what Martin sent me from across the pond through the Royal Mail. All right, so hey, you might have seen this before if you watch Martin's videos. It's T. Texas Tyler, late career LP that he put out. He's from the 78 RPM era, but this one, full-length album he put out on Star Day. And what makes this one extra special and unique to my collection, it's also a London record. This record has quite the carbon footprint. Now, if you watch Martin's channel, you may remember Martin shared this record, and he's passed it along to me. He thought, you know what, I might appreciate this more than he does. And well, I'll share with you the things that I've come to appreciate now that I've had time to digest this record. I can share my regurgitations with you, Martin, and to the other viewers. We'll find out maybe what Martin might have enjoyed about this. He did use the word appreciate, and what I might be able to appreciate more. Or maybe I'm putting words in his mouth. Maybe I'm just paraphrasing. But we'll find out why Martin didn't consider this a keeper. So this record starts off with a fantastic track here. It's called the Texas Boogie Woogie. And so this is a country boogie number, kind of like Tennessee Ernie Ford's old Rockin' Ernie. And it's marvelous. It's well recorded in the studio. The basic premise of the song is T. Texas and the guys are boogieing their way on down to Dallas, Texas. And the song gives some opportunities for some delightful solos. You get a piano solo. I believe the gentleman's name was Jerry Smith. Get Jerry Shook doing a guitar solo, and then Pete Drake does a nice little bit of pedal steel, and quite a fun, rollicking good time there. Now then the record takes a very sharp turn, and song number 2, credited to Tyler as well, Crawdad Town, sounds like a Roger Miller novelty song. And so you got this rockin' boogie woogie, and then what did I write in my notes? So I did neglect to mention that the Texas Boogie Woogie has got a little bit of some lifting from Bill Haley's Rock Around the Clock on there too. Crawdad Town, we get this chorus that it's something like, it's a long, long way to Crawdad Town, and it's very much Roger Miller-y. And I'm fine when Roger Miller does Roger Miller, but this mixed bag with the rockabilly and then shifting into Roger Miller was a bit much. So the premise of the song is, you got to go. It's a long, long way to Crawdad Town, and then they visit different places along the way. And listen to what kind of trouble happens when you get to Australia. Kangaroo kicked out my hair. That's just ridiculous, isn't it? And it's a long way from Texas. So I would call that song a fail, and perhaps one of the reasons why Martin rejected the record. what else? What else happens on here? Then we get into some very straight ahead country numbers. We've got a couple of tracks written by Joe Red Hayes, the guy that wrote that song "A Satisfied Mind" that I first learned from Bob Dylan. 5 minutes in on one record. This is going to be a long one, folks. Settle in. And I like that song, "A Satisfied Mind." I didn't even know it was a country song when I first heard it. But these other tracks written by Joe Red Hayes, pictured here. I think that was him right there. They're stinkers. There's one called "Just Like Dad." It's the song about this alcoholic father, and his family's like, "Dad, you got to stop drinking that booze." This is the end of side one, and Dad's just a hardened, hard-hearted, stone-hearted alcoholic, and doesn't care what his family sees of him, in what state or condition of moral decay he's fallen into with the booze. But then one day his son takes to the drink and makes a drunken fool of himself. And here's the twist. The son says, "Dad, I got drunk so you could see what it's like to look at you." And that scared the dad straight. And so "Just Like Dad" is the name of that song. It was just awful. Very, very positive message. I'm against alcoholism destroying families, but the delivery package for the message was a fail. And then there's this other track that closes the record out called "Little Piece of Ground." This is this old fella that's got a little piece of ground, and he doesn't need anything else in this world because he's got a little piece of ground that provides for him all his needs. Because in this song there's no property tax, and then his wife is buried in that little piece of ground. But it's nice because he remembers the love that they shared together. It's just sappy dreck, stuff. The overly saccharine sentimentality that you get in bad country songwriting. It's one reason I think why Martin rejected this record. Perhaps the worst offender on this whole record starts out side two. The song's called "Injun Joe." Last name of the composer is Payne. And this is a story about a gentleman that wanders into a Navajo village, and it's a man named Mr. Hendricks. And the Navajo village has been wiped out by smallpox. And Mr. Hendricks comes across in the ruins of this smallpox village, these dead Navajo people. There's a surviving child, Injun Joe. He's been spared from the smallpox. And before taking him home, Mr. Hendricks inspects him to make sure he's symptom-free. And Mr. Hendricks and Mrs. Hendricks, they adopt Joe as their child. And they raise Joe in the woods. And probably quite a distance from the Navajo reservation, because they live in a cabin in the woods, or the Navajo village. I don't know if it would have been a reservation at this time, but Ma Hendricks says to Pa Hendricks, "Hey, I think it's time that they were getting low on meat, so it's time for Pa to go hunting." And Ma says, "Hey, maybe it's time you go teach Joe the woods." And so Pa Hendricks takes Joe out into the forest to hunt, and they bag the deer, and they're getting ready to head back. But then the blizzard comes in, and they get lost in the snow, and Pa Hendricks is at a loss, and he says a prayer or something. And then Injun Joe, his superior woodsman skills that are I guess, like instinctual to Native American people kick in, and he lights a fire, and the fire is not just to keep warm. Injun Joe watches the smoke as it blows, and he's able to lock in on their direction in the blizzard and navigate their way home. And the moral of the story, or the message of the story, is that because Pa Hendricks spared a life, his life was spared that day by Injun Joe. If you need to get a Kleenex, I understand. It's a beautiful moment of fiction, but it's an awful song. Fortunately for that song, it is track number 1, and we'll be able to move on to the next song, "Morn and Glory," back to a T. Texas Tyler composition, and that's a fun little romp. It's got a bit of a change up in tempo, but a couple of fun numbers there. By the Way, I Still Love You, it's all right. It's a Long Road Back Home, I think that one was okay. And then Sunset Years of Life, horrible one about aging parents. And then Little Piece of Ground, that terrible clunker that closes it out. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up into a series. I hadn't thought of that, but it's 11 and a half minutes in. I've shown one record, and so I'll stop there, and let's see what we'll get in our next video sneak preview. Parchment. This group's been called the greatest band to come out of Liverpool, and I'm not going to argue with that. Let's find out about Parchment in our next video. And hey, my brother Titus would appreciate it if you'd watch a video that he appeared in. One of these days, I'll get around to making some split screen videos with him. But in the meantime, I'll put 2 Titus videos up there. You might enjoy watching those. He's more charismatic than I am. All right, thanks for watching this one.